Let's all take a nice deep breath in and exhale into our hearts. Hand on your heart. Give thanks for this opportunity to be together. Heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind. One mind. We are one mind of one mind. Let us join with all minds, especially minds of peace, for the people around the world who are praying for peace tonight. Let's join with them. Let's ask to be instruments of peace. Let's ask to be conduits of peace, that our prayers may be strong enough to shift the consciousness of those who would continue having a mind of war. Let us be the mind of peace, allowing all that is not peaceful within us to shift. The holy war within, the holy war of judgment, of fear, of unresolved anger. Let us find in this moment the willingness to soften so that we can truly be vessels of peace. Extending peace out from our hearts out into the world. Starting with the furthest reaches of the world, the people of Ukraine, to other areas of the world, to the Middle East. We send prayers of peace. And with every prayer of peace, we check within ourselves to see if we are indeed peaceful. Am I a vessel of peace? Am I an instrument of peace? We ask ourselves. And where we find blocks to peace, we pray to soften so that we can be true conduits, sending peace out into the world, and then bringing peace into our own world, to those people of the past that we have not yet forgiven. Let this be the moment, even if just for a moment, suspending all doubt, suspending all issues, suspending all judgment, just in this moment to truly feel at peace, to be at peace. And as purified vessels of peace, we send peace out into the world. Let peace begin with me. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. We're asking a divine master to see us as willing servants. Servants of a divine plan. And God's will for us is happiness. Happiness for us, happiness for others. And the people in war-torn countries are in survival mode. We ask that they find peace, that they find sanctuary, that they find safety, that they be reunited with their families. Let us pray that at this time, in this place, and in these bodies, and in this creation of madness that we have participated in for centuries, that we become a part of the shift of the grand crusade that brings light, brings healing, brings compassion, and brings love. We release any resistance, and we open ourselves, we open our hearts, expand our hearts. Take a nice deep breath in together. Exhale into the present moment. So welcome, happy Holy Thursday. It's great to be together. A few announcements. First thing, March has 5 Thursdays. And for those of you who don't know, if you're new to Miracles with a Twist, on the months that have 5 Thursdays, I have a family council meeting, an LMC. LMC Interfaith Ministries is the mother of all the other programs that are extended out through me and through my community and through my ministry. So LMC Interfaith Ministries has a family council meeting when we have the 5th Thursday of the month. So next Thursday, March 31st, we will not be live streaming because we'll be having a family council meeting. So the next time we meet on live stream will be April 7th. April 7th. That's 2 Thursdays from today. April 9th is Pam's memorial. For those of you who are local, if you want to attend the memorial and you don't have the memorial information, please get in touch with me and I'll make sure that you get it. I've been asked several times if it's going to be live streamed. I don't know that yet. It's come up in conversation to live stream it, but I don't know for sure. So if it is live streamed, then I will let you know and it'll be archived. Something else really important is happening right now as we speak and as we go into the weekend, which is Gotti Lisa's birthday. One of our dear beloved family members who's been with me for a long time now. She was a student of mine. She's an ordained minister. So just through the airwaves, wherever you are, extend your hand to the camera. The camera will then extend to Lisa. Lisa, the Gotti Lisa. She got this name from when she was living in the Bahamas. It's a name of reverence, of motherhood, of nurturing. So we ask that you know that you are beloved, that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, that our love surrounds you, that we appreciate you, we love you. We ask that this new year coming for you be a year of blessings beyond your wildest dreams. As you have enriched the lives of so many, we ask that you be enriched. We send you love, peace, kindness, and that may all that you are, love, peace, and kindness, be extended out into the world through you as you are a servant of God, beloved and richly appreciated, deeply loved. We love you, we bless you, we thank you. We bow to you. We bow to you, Lisa. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I love you all.
Thank you too. So you keep Lisa in your heart and in your mind and in your good wishes. Her birthday is actually Sunday, March 27th. So between now and then, just keep saying, Lisa, Lisa, happy birthday. Lisa, Lisa, happy birthday. Just keep those blessings going out for her. So, happy birthday, we love you.
Thank you.
We love you, we bless you. So, as I was getting ready for this evening, I came across a quote by Ram Dass that I wanted to share with you. And it's called The Game. And the game is what he calls life, the game of life. This game is life. You know, he's from the 70s, he was a stoner, you know, so like the way he spoke was, you know, just sort of in that laid-back mindset. And this is very Course in Miracles-ish. He said, the game isn't to end up being a good meditator. The game is to end up free. The game is not to end up a good Buddhist. It's to end up Buddha. It's not to end up a good Christian. It's to end up Christ. This game isn't to end up loving. It's to end up being love. Being love. That's what we strive for as students on a path, on any path, but especially a mystic's path, which I believe A Course in Miracles is. Doesn't fit easily into any category. It's not New Age, it's not New Thought, it's not Christianity, it's not Buddhism. It is in and of itself a path inward And the path inward is always the mystic's path. I love Ram Dass. He was ahead of his time. I also heard this other thing. It was a quote. I don't know if I wrote it down or have to rely on my memory. I think I have to rely on my memory. Ken Wapnick wrote in one of his essays, and he did many, about how our mind is under our control. And this is what A Course in Miracles is trying to get us to realize and recognize and practice, to implement our practices on a daily basis, so that we begin to not just realize and acknowledge, but to actually find ourselves the masters of our minds. That we notice when we're going into judgment and we make an adjustment. We notice when we're going into fear and we make an adjustment. And this is a continuous practice. So one of the things he talked about was the movie A Beautiful Mind. Do you guys remember that movie? It was like, I don't know, along 90s, I guess, 91 maybe. It was Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe was the actor, and he played a character based on a Nobel Prize winning mathematician by the name of John Nash. And John Nash had schizophrenia. And he was really just losing his ability to function as a professor, as a mathematician, as a husband to his wife. I mean, as just finding himself constantly in delusions and hallucinations. And somehow he became a master of his own mind. And he eventually was without medication. And I'm not saying that any of us who need assistance from any kind of medicine, whether it's for your blood pressure or your anxiety or whatever, the Course and anyone else is not telling us not to do what we need to do. But the example of this movie is that somebody with schizophrenia had such a masterful overcoming of his delusions that he began to recognize what was a delusion and what was a hallucination, and he was able to separate himself from that and to continue functioning. And I just think it's so fascinating because A Course in Miracles is always telling us that our mind is playing tricks on us, that we are in an illusionary states most of the time. That if we are in judgment, if we are in fear, if we are functioning from a place that is not in control of our minds, and our minds and our emotions are controlling us, then it's kind of like the character in the movie. The mind is in control. The brain is in control. So our task, even if we do suffer from any of the earthly maladies, that we at least realize it, we recognize it. It's like, oh, there I am having anxious thoughts. Here I am feeling depressed. I am aware of it. I'm not letting it define me. I'm not letting it control me. I am on the outside looking in at it. And the more we can do that, the more we practice, the easier it is for us to find peace with what is, whatever is in the moment. Constantly being aware, being vigilant of our own minds. That was a good movie. I don't remember how it ended, but according to this essay that Ken Wapnick did, was the ending was the realization that he had around how much control he could have over his own mind. That he can recognize, well, he couldn't stop the delusions from happening. And he couldn't stop the hallucinations, but he could recognize them. It's almost like he could compartmentalize them. It's the same thing with any emotions that we're having. It's not that we're not having them. We're in the world. We're having emotions. We're having sorrow. We're having upset. But we can look at that and say, this is what I'm experiencing in this moment. It doesn't have to change me. It doesn't have to define me. It doesn't have to turn me into a villain. I have a choice when I get to a crossroad. I can do better or I can be bitter. And that's always the choice. That's always the choice that we have. So we continuously, if we're not paying attention to our mind, and we're not paying attention to what's going on, then we don't make that choice. The choice is being made for us by our minds, by our emotions. So, and having said that, we're looking at, we're still in the Manual for Teachers, and we're looking at the characteristics of the teachers of God. And as I was thinking about this, how are we integrating these lessons, all this work that we've been doing for years and years and years as students of A Course in Miracles, and starting to notice that we can step ahead every now and then. We can de-escalate faster. We can re-regulate faster. Because it's not to say that things aren't going to happen, we're not going to get triggered. Yeah, we will. But we can adjust because we're aware. We're noticing more that this is this other part of me, this part of me that's the John Nash character, that's being controlled by brain chemistry or the moment of upset or the moment of circumstance. And I can watch myself and then readjust my thinking so that I can see and hear and know that I am participating in choices. That I am participating in the idea of what comes next. Bitterness, anger. Am I going to be the victim? I just read something the other day about a victim. Oh my God, this was so funny. Somebody said, if you go around playing the victim, you might as well carry your own chalk with you. Like when you find the dead bodies on the road, they put the chalk around it. It's like, is that really what we want to do? Is that how we want to live our lives? Like, I am such a victim of this world. We are not victims of the world. We are recipients of the world. We were observers of the world. And we can then make a decision about how we are going to function in spite of the things that are happening that may not be pleasant. So we're always making these choices, constantly, always, every day. And if we continuously making the choices where the ego is sending us down the lane of self-pity or anger or upset, it's going to take us a lot longer to find peace. Marianne Williamson talked about that just recently in one of her daily lessons about the way we collapse time. How do you collapse time? Is by not spending so much time in your upset. If I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days arguing with you because you were just so wrong about that thing, and then after 3 or 4 days of arguing, we finally make up, what if I just saw you as beloved from the beginning? What if I just decided, it's not worth the argument. My love for you isn't worth those 3 or 4 days of shaming you and beating you up mentally or emotionally. That's what the Course is talking about in terms of collapsing time. We can collapse time by making that decision. I'm going to do it differently. Instead of hopping on my high horse, I'm just going to stay here on the ground, stay grounded. So, the quality, the characteristics that we're going to be looking at today are generosity, patience, and faithfulness. Faithfulness. This is still in the question of what are the characteristics of a teacher of God. Question number 4. So one of the characteristics is generosity. Now, the thing is, as soon as I opened the page to generosity, I started thinking about generosity. And I started thinking about generosity of being something of our own spirit. Generosity of spirit. And I'm very aware of it these days. I'm very sensitive to it and acknowledging of it because of the fact that we've had a big loss this past month. After Pam's death, there was a period of time where we were all very super hypersensitive and in our emotions, in our shock, and in our upset. And one of the things that I noticed was how appreciative and receptive I was to the generosity of other people's hearts. The kindness that was extended to me by friends, even from people who live in other states, who were checking on me and soothing me with their words and their kindness and their vigilance of my sorrow. And it was generosity. It was the generosity of their, even if they had not had an experience like that. I was also aware of the people who didn't show up. And it's not about being upset with them, but acknowledging that, you know, T.J. Jakes says some people come into this world with 5-gallon capacity for love and compassion and kindness, and some people just come in with a pint. And the folks that only have a pint, well, I just got to forgive them and not have expectations of them, because their heart is not capable. So I can't expect of them. But those who have that heart, that 5-gallon heart of generosity, of kindness, that we're pouring out their continuous, nonstop presence, that's not something that can be taught. That's something that's just in you. I was with a friend the other night, and I was telling her, I've known her for like 20 something years. I said, you have one of the best hearts that I've ever known. And she said, oh yeah, because my mom was such a good person. I said, well, it's just you. It's in you. Like, you know, your mom could have taught you to be nice, and your mom could have taught you to be polite. But the generosity of your heart is something that is beyond what can be taught. And I believe that this is the kind of generosity the Course is asking of us. The generosity of our hearts, the generosity that comes from the true desire to be compassionate, to stretch beyond our own stuff of the day, our own plans, to take that time to reach out to somebody who's hurting, to do acts of kindness. That's the kind of generosity that is just natural for people who truly have that 5-gallon heart, that 5-gallon capacity for love. And so if you don't have it and you want it, then you just look within and say, well, you know, I do want to be more generous of my heart. I want to be able to look and see, what is it that I can expand? What blocks do I need to break down so that I can have that capacity of loving, that generosity of heart? That's everything I thought about before I actually read the paragraph. But what came to mind, I had this memory of a video that I had seen years ago. This was pre-TikTok, but it definitely should be a TikTok video. And it was these little girls. They were infant, like how old are they when they're like wobbly, like they can walk but they're wobbly? What's that, like?
Less than 12 months.
Like 10 months old. So there was these little 10-month-old girls walking. They were twins, and they were walking together on the beach, and they were holding hands, and they're walking, and they're wobbly. And at one point, one wobbles into the other one, and the other one falls down and starts screaming at her. And they're screaming back and forth at each other in that twin language that no one else knows. And they're yelling at each other, and they're like mad at each other. But then, I can't go all the way down to show this. But then they kind of like, as they're yelling at each other, they're holding on to each other and bringing themselves back up. But they're still yelling. La 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 la, mad, 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 mad. But now we've brought each other up, and then they start walking again, holding hands. And I thought, that's how we should all be. That's like how the average adult argument should be. You know, like, I'm mad this moment, but let me hold on to you. Let's rise up together and just keep going. You know, but we don't do that because, you know, we store up all this stuff. I want to learn from those 10-month-old wobbly infants, you know, those little toddlers walking and helping each other up. They were yelling at each other, but they held each other up, they helped each other up, and then they walked off together. Generosity of heart. The generosity of heart that lets you overlook your own stuff and overlook the other person's stuff so you can just connect heart to heart. Generosity. The term generosity has special meaning to the teacher of God. It's not the usual meaning of the world. In fact, it is a meaning that must be learned and learned very carefully. Like all the other attributes of God, teachers with this one rest ultimately on trust. For without trust, no one can be generous in the true sense. So what are we trusting? We're trusting that even though I'm helping you up, I'm trusting that it's the right thing to do. I'm trusting that extending myself, extending my generosity, expanding my heart is the right thing to do because it will help you. And as it helps you, it will help me. Step outside of my ego, step outside of my sense of vulnerability, step outside my resistance, and just be present and trust that it is the right thing to do because you're extending yourself to a brother or a sister. The development of trust is a continuous process. We are continuously developing this trust that when I extend my heart to you, I'm not harming myself. I'm not hurting myself by helping you. Other people might think, oh, why are you doing that for that person? They weren't very nice to you. Let's not listen to that. La 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 la. We're not listening to the ego voice that comes out of other bodies. We're listening to the higher holy self that tells us to be generous of our hearts, to be generous in our hearts, and to extend generosity. The teacher of God is generous out of self-interest. This does not, however, refer to the self of the world. The teacher of God does not want anything he cannot give away because he realizes that it would be valueless. It would be valueless to pretend, to be pretentious. It would be valueless to be in my defensiveness. The Dalai Lama, if you wanted to look it up, the Dalai Lama has a story about wise selfishness. And he talks about how wise it is for us to look at what it is that we're willing to give of ourselves because we extend that back to ourselves. So it's wise to be kind because then you are expanding your capacity to give and to receive kindness. It's wise to be compassionate. So you're compassionate to yourself first. If you can be compassionate to yourself, loving towards yourself, kind towards yourself, you are going to be more willing to be kind, compassionate, and loving toward others. So it's wise selfishness. It's wise to selfishly look in terms of how can I be of service to myself so that I can then extend that service out to you. Because if I don't care about myself, if I don't see myself as a worthy, willing, capable servant of the divine, if I don't know that it's really within me to be a good steward of God's grace, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm just not going to do anything because I'm not going to believe it of myself. So if I can believe it of myself, then I can raise my own standards of myself, and then I'm much more willing to extend it out to others because I don't have to be defended against any others. Generosity of heart, of our hearts. So let's look at patience. Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and wait without anxiety. What outcome? The outcome is that if I am going to do better and be better in this world, if I'm going to extend myself with the generosity of my heart, then the outcome will always be more generosity of my heart, more healing of my heart, more capability of my heart. Maybe I only had 4 gallons, now I got 5 gallons capacity because I'm allowing myself to stretch. I'm allowing myself to fill my willingness, my vessel, to extend it out to others. So I can patiently wait. You know, you don't know. You do acts of kindness. You do your forgiveness work. You don't know how it's going to come back to you because sometimes it's not where you planted. You want to be forgiving of someone who hurt you, and they may not be all that concerned with you. They're like, whatever. It doesn't have to come back to you exactly where you put it because that's not what this is about. This is about putting out that generosity regardless of what comes back to you because it will come back to you some way, somehow. So we patiently wait with trust and with knowing that all will be well in our spirit. The time will be as right as the answer will come. And this is true for everything that happens now or in the future. The past is, well, held no mistakes, nothing that did not serve to benefit the world. Now here's a really interesting line. It says, perhaps it was not understood at the time, but the teacher of God must be willing to reconsider his past decisions if they are causing pain to anyone. Patience is natural to those who trust. Sure is the ultimate interpretation of all things in time. So, you know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of the recovery movement, because I've always said that Bill W. is a modern day prophet, because he came up with this program of recovery that is very spiritual, and they have 4th and 5th steps. In case you're not familiar with them, I'll talk a little bit about them. The 4th step says, I made a searching and fearless moral inventory. You take responsibility for your past and current behavior. You acknowledge things that have been embarrassing, painful, or difficult, and realizing that those were the root of your addiction. So 4th step, right? So it's saying that if we do this step, if we in trust go into ourselves, take a fearless, it says fearless moral inventory. That means we're willing to go into those dark places and take a look. Whoa, that was me, I did that. We're willing to take a look and understand. There's steps here. We're taking a look, we're understanding, and then what? Then we're shifting our behavior. We're learning from it. Now, there's a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people who can talk about it, can post about it, can preach about it, but living it, that's what takes patience. Living it, living this willingness to dig deep. Dig really, really deep. Fearlessly take a look and look at yourself. And then go, okay, I will patiently wait for the transformation to occur, because it will occur now that I have taken the step of willingness to see where I was, where I am, and where I want to be. Where do I want to be? I want to be in a place of full capacity, that 5-gallon capacity for loving, for caring, for giving of myself, for the generosity of spirit. So the 5th step says, we admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Now, with A Course in Miracles, we can just do that internally. In recovery, it may be that you have to do it outside. We have an understanding that our rigorous honesty is what's going to take us to the next step. I can tell you anything and still be lying to myself. I can preach and teach and have a lot of people say, oh my God, that was amazing, and still be lying to myself. You can have followers and posts that have millions of likes, but you still be lying to yourself. So that's where we want to be, in that place of rigorous honesty, of really truly being able to look within, not with that, not to blame you, not to blame that thing, but you know what, here I am now. Maybe those things brought me here. But now I have a willingness to be the best that I need to be in terms of my spiritual path, in terms of my generosity of spirit, in terms of my willingness to truly extend my heart, my love, my forgiveness to myself and to others. Hopped on the soapbox there for a second. How's my time?
41.
Then the next one, thank you. The next one is faithfulness. The extent of the teacher of God's faithfulness is the measure of his advances in this curriculum. Does he still select some aspects of life to bring to his learning? Yeah, probably. We probably all do. To give up all problems to one answer is to reverse the thinking of the world entirely. And that alone is faithfulness. Let me say that again. To give up all problems to one answer is to reverse the thinking of the world entirely. And that alone is faithfulness. True faithfulness does not deviate. Now, my friend, Father Joe Spina, some of you might know him. He's a Franciscan friar here in town. Whenever he comes and does a little talk for my students, he always says, where is your faith? And I love this question because he's not asking, like, as a Catholic, because he's teaching Catholicism, you know, one day he comes and he's teaching us about the liturgy of the Mass. And he always ends by saying, what is your faith? And your faith is, what are you focusing on? What are you putting your faith in? Are you putting it into the voice of the ego? Are you putting it into the victim mentality? Where is your faith? Where is your focus? Your focus is your faith. It's like that song in Unity. They have this meditation where they say, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always thinking. Our thoughts are prayers. Our thoughts are putting out energy into the world. So it's up to us to reel it in and to put faith in this process of expanding our hearts, the generosity of hearts, to trust that we are moving in the direction that will lead us to a place of true peace, inner peace. Questions? Any questions? No questions. We have a monitor, so if you have any questions. I'm going to leave that there because there's one more thing I want to discuss before we go today. And that is, if you happen to be doing the lessons, we are in a time of review. A time of review is really interesting because it gives us the opportunity to go back and look at what we think we may have learned. And I say that because I've been doing this for 100 years now. And you know, at the end of the day, it's like, what have I really learned? Well, I learned where I put my faith, where I put my focus. That's what I'm going to learn about myself. So if you happen to be doing the lessons, we're in review, and the review in the workbook is on page 145. And I just want to talk about that just for a second. It says, there is a message waiting for you. When you do these lessons, it says, there is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts, and realize that whatever form such thoughts may take have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Do not forget that your willpower, that your will has power over all dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. This is a repeated instruction in the course over and over again, to check with your own willingness. How willing are you to really truly do the work? And so we might say, I was so busy today that, you know, I had this opportunity to make a phone call. I know somebody needed to have some nurturing and some care, but, you know, I just got too busy. So how willing are you to extend yourself? How willing is the true generosity of your heart? So we pay attention to ourselves, but with rigorous honesty, to truly be looking. You know, remember the day we looked at Ernesto and only his head was in the bed. Well, and that's not rigorously honest. If you ask him, Ernesto, were you in your bed? Well, yeah, just his head. Honesty is deeply rigorous. It's about looking at what is really, truly going on. If you weren't here a few weeks ago, that didn't make any sense to you. But we are looking at rigorous honesty, truly knowing what is the question, what is really going on here? What is my intention? Where's my integrity? Where is my faith? What am I focusing on? So in our daily practices, even if you're not doing the lessons, it's about paying attention to what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're interacting with others, and are we willing to make adjustments? And in Ken Wapnick's commentary on the review, he says, the reviews in this workbook are an integral part, as they are for most teachers during a class or a semester. These reviews are more than just the sum total of preceding lessons. Something new is always added, as we shall see. He talks about the art, science, and practice of teaching. The increasing use of structure that Jesus is asking us to follow is recognizing that we're spending more time being vigilant. More time. It's not about sitting in a particular posture or any particular mantras, but being vigilant of self. taking time to connect with the divine and being vigilant of your thoughts and your behaviors. It says, we've already traveled a great distance from the relatively unstructured opening exercise and have advanced as well in the awareness of our resistance to them. We're resistant all the time. You know why? Because it's easier to just be mad. It's easier to just go cold and ignore someone or something or your own journey. That's easy. This is about stretching. This is about the warrior pose. Stretching into the warrior pose so that you can finally accomplish your goal of being generous of heart, of being rigorously honest with yourself, of being compassionate and kind and forgiving and loving. That's it. That's our goal. That's our goal. Incremental steps. We work on this every day. All right, we have a final song, but stay for the final prayer. The final prayer is not from the course, but from Kabir tonight. So let's see.
Down these troubled roads we've stumbled into, we're all in this thing together, we're gonna make it through. If you walk with me, I'll walk with you. Be there for me, I'll be there for you. When we're running out of hope, when we don't know what to do, like a candle in the darkness, shining bright and true. Be there for me, I'll be there for you. Oh, everything is gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be alright, alright. 'Cause you and me got better days coming. Yeah, everything is gonna be alright. Walk with me, I'll walk with you. I know the rain of today will bring tomorrow's bloom, where we can't see where we're going, what the world is coming to. You walk with me, I'll walk with you. It'll be alright. Walk with me, alright. Ooh, I will walk with you, alright. Oh, walk with me, alright. And I will walk with you. It's gonna be everything. It's gonna be alright. Everything. I will walk with you. Gonna be alright. And I will walk with you, alright. I will walk with you. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. Walk with me. I will walk with you.
Sorry, we're walking together on this journey together with expanded hearts, generosity of heart. How wonderful that we have this teaching and that we have each other. A few reminders. We don't meet next Thursday in the live stream. We meet in 2 weeks. That's April 7th. Also, if you would like to give a financial show of appreciation, I will put a link on the page. And our end prayer today is from Kabir, 13th century poet. May a humble love of emboldened midwife warriors rise up in sacred action to redeem humanity. Yes to that. Let's say yes and amen. Yes and amen to that.
Yes and amen.
Yes. God bless you. See you in 2 weeks.